Is it time to apologize to SoundCloud rappers?
I'm saying, bro. I don't know. It was something I was like thinking about, and when I thought about where rap is going right now, and dude, I'm like, I know I always go back to it, but that Yachty album, it really
Big Yachty guy.
big, and that was
You're a big Yachty guy.
That was the thing. Like I wasn't a fan of Teenage Emotions, wasn't a fan of Lil Boat 2 really. So a lot of the stuff he was putting out, I was like, I see what he's doing. Sounds like he's having a good time. Sounds like he's enjoying himself. Music's not for me, but like, you know, whatever. I respect it. So when Let's Start Here came out, I absorbed it. I loved it as a music fan. And then that thought came to me of like, man, I remember listening to Minnesota. And I remember the thought going through my head of like, what the hell is this going on right now? I cannot.
Minnesota.
Cold like Minnesota. Can't understand a word that's being said right now. This is like some weird flows, weird energy, weird vibes. I didn't get it. So I was definitely like, I was somebody who heard that SoundCloud era come out, and I was like, what is happening? Like, I must be done with hip hop because this is not going the direction it came in. But then when I listened to that album, I was like, well, this is artistry. Like, this is really him honing in on his craft of being an artist, of making music, of speaking his voice. And to see the evolution of him, see the evolution that 21's made. Now he's got a collab album with Drake. Like, from people saying that Drake's culture vulturing by hopping on with all these young artists to him.
Oh, okay.
Remember that? Like he was featuring all these young artists. Everybody was like, oh, you're just letting them hop onto your songs because you're trying to stay relevant. You feel like you're fading out. And at the time, Drake was like, what are you talking about? Like, I've made it. I've gotten to the top. What would you rather me just sit on my ivory tower and not help with people starting out?
Right, because I think if anything, he's giving him a platform.
Exactly.
I think if anything, culture vulturing from Drake, not to go off topic,
100%.
is when he'll implement some culture bars into his songs.
Right.
Like with the Megan Thee Stallion bar.
Yep.
In Her Loss.
That was jumping on it.
That's jumping on the train.
Wave, for
right.
sure. So then to go from that to, again, now 21 has the collab album. Uzi had a collab with Future. Who else is in that? Kodak was all over Kendrick's album. So it's like, not only the people who we grew up like saying they're going to be our GOATs for our generation, Drake, Cole, Kendrick, those three guys have now officially co-signed these SoundCloud rappers as they're coming up.
Facts.
And the music that they're making is now in the mainstream. Like, not, it's partly obviously because our generation's growing up, so now we're a heavier market share of who's listening to music and everything like that. But the other big part is just these guys were young, they were kids. They were 18 years old when they're making this music. And what SoundCloud really did for music was you got to see the process of J. Cole being in his studio in his room in North Carolina, and before he ever moved to New York, before he ever went to school up there, before he ever was like, I need to go to a big city to try to make it, he was in his bedroom making his own beats, making his own raps. All of that time that he was putting in on his craft, we didn't see any of that. SoundCloud rappers, this internet era, is like, oh, they can make a song and put it up in 20 minutes. So we're seeing their whole process and their whole evolution. So to see them come to the fruition that they were always destined to do now, we got to look back and we got to say, I have to look back. And I got to be like, man, I was hating, I was wrong, and not that they give a fuck about what I have to say, but if they were in front of me and they heard what I was saying back then, I'd be like, yo, that was on me. I was wrong. It's time to apologize. That was the whole. I was thinking about that. I was like, the world needs to be more open to that, though.
First, let's talk about notable SoundCloud rappers. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
who is a SoundCloud rapper?
Like let's paint a picture here. So when I think of notable SoundCloud rappers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think of Trippie Redd.
Yep.
Lil Uzi Vert.
For sure.
Post Malone.
100%.
Travis Scott.
Yep.
Noble name. Don't need to go much into it, but SoundCloud rapper. Came up. We are in the SoundCloud era.
Yeah. So
right.
Is SoundCloud rapper somebody who blew up on SoundCloud, like to you, and that's where like they were making their name, and then they were able to move on from that?
I would say so. Yeah. I would say like that's like to me SoundCloud rappers. That's the minor leagues of
the game.
Yeah. Right. That's where you see the young stars of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you got Travis Scott, Kodak Black, Denzel Curry, 21 Savage, A Boogie with the Hoodie, Ski Mask, Chief Keef, Juice WRLD, Lil Peep.
Yep.
Like, rest in peace to both.
Yeah.
But you saw these artists coming up. And then to me, I think of, okay, present day. What have these artists done to touch the pulse of the culture today?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think of, for example, like, I don't think we need to go into Travis Scott, Kodak, Post Malone, Lil Uzi Vert. We know them.
Yeah.
The world knows them. They have really established themselves in the mainstream.
Right.
Trippie Redd's dope to me. He's more of that. emo boy rap, right? Like that darker side of rap, and he's diverse. You know, you'll catch him on songs with EDM artists.
Yeah.
With in the song High with Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
Dope song, dope track.
Very good song.
And then you can catch him also like his flow.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate an artist that can make you feel a multitude of emotions, right? That has the song for any vibe.
Sure.
Right? Like there's like Topanga, there's Mood, there's Rich Motherfucker. It's a dope song.
Yeah.
There's Dark Knight Demo.
Dark Knight Demo is so underrated.
And also, to me, is it time to apologize to SoundCloud rappers? Okay, well, let's take them from the SoundCloud perspective. They obviously popped up on SoundCloud. That's how they got their major record deals.
Right.
Now let's put them into the mainstream. Have they had success mainstream?
Good call.
Right? Well, Trippie Redd has 43 gold and platinum certs.
Yeah.
That's success to me.
Oh, 100%.
I would say that's a successful
100%.
mainstream career. And he amassed 13 million listeners on SoundCloud. Trenches to mass success. Like he killed it on SoundCloud.
Yep.
And then you have A Boogie with the Hoodie. I remember him coming up in 2016, 2017, Diverse 2 with Timeless, and then would go to Drowning, where it's like, I'm drowning, and you're like, fuck, right? Like, I remember, like, my...
Wrist so icy, wonder why they like me, bitch, I'm drowning.
Bro, like, that was my senior year, and,
Yeah.
me and my boy G would just play that shit all day.
Oh, absolutely.
All day. But he had the music, too, though, where he had that flow where you could bump it on the way to school, or if you were in a hole because you got ghosted by the girl of your dreams, story to come, then, like, you got... DTB, Don't Trust Bitches.
Yeah.
Like you have,
I think I had it.
and then you have Big Shit, King of My City. Like those songs that are more like put your dick on the fucking table. Like, like those songs just go hard.
Dude. And then another rapper in that kind of same vibe is Rich the Kid.
Rich the Kid.
Rich the Kid putting out all those mixtapes that were on SoundCloud, and then kind of popped off with a couple, and then his first debut album had Lil Wayne, had Future, all of the big time artists. Again, like taking him from the trenches of the SoundCloud, where it's like, if you knew Rich the Kid back in 2015, 2014, like that was kind of a cut. That was a cut that most people weren't going to expect coming in. And then you look at what his studio albums were doing, and all of these artists, like some of them are popping off to this day. Other ones are maybe trying to figure out where the next move is. But make no mistake, they absolutely, like you said, went from the trenches to the mainstream. And then the rest of the story is being written right now.
And like you already said, we look at present day. We have 21 Savage dual album with Drake. That's Her Loss, dope album. Arguably with one of the biggest artists in the world.
Oh yeah, I mean without a doubt,
not just celebrity.
Yeah,
just one of the most notable people in the world.
The biggest artist of our generation.
Like
you
talk about mainstream, like this generation's Michael Jackson. Take how you feel about that apart.
Yeah.
But he's as big as Michael Jackson.
If Drake went to got arrested for some huge big thing, or if he died tomorrow, the world would kind of shut down for a second.
It would.
Yeah.
Every fuckboy from here to the East Coast, West Coast is gonna have a day off tomorrow.
Yeah. They're gonna have some sort of Drake song that they connect to. Yeah.
And then you have Lil Yachty on his own album, Let's Start Here, that dropped this year. And also, what I thought too about Lil Yachty is he's behind a lot of songs. He's producing a lot of songs.
Yeah, huge on Her Loss too.
Huge on Her Loss.
Yeah.
And so you have him, who he's in the mainstream right now too, killing it behind the scenes. So he's not right there with 21 Savage in terms of that face frontal cover.
Right.
But he's behind the scenes making these fucking songs.
Still mainstream.
And we can talk about 21 Savage later.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different. Like I think he's now starting to get his mainstream props.
Yeah, he's 21 Savage to me, which we'll get into the whole 2016 XXL class. That's a whole conversation by itself.
But I think he's finally starting to get his round of applause.
His intelligence is so supreme. He turned down so many major record deals so that he could keep control of his masters, and that he could keep a majority of his publishing so that he could make the music that he wants. Slower grind means you're not on the front of Apple Music every single time because you don't have the studio behind you to push it like that. But he put in the time, put in the effort.
It's showing up
now. It's showing right now because he gets to make the music he wants, and it's fucking incredible.
Like to me, 2023 is. To me, it's 21 Savage arriving to the mainstream, showing hey, I'm not just a feature on a Metro track. I'm 21 Savage.
I can work with anybody.
And
I can do
anything.
anything.
And his evolution, we'll get to that. And then you have Travis Scott dropping Utopia in 2023. That's also one of his most anticipated albums.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you have these SoundCloud artists that to me aren't even relevant. That they are the culture moving forward.
Yeah.
They are what the mainstream is anticipating.
Yeah.
Right. And then so I think of, because what got me thinking. When you ask that question, is it time to apologize to SoundCloud rappers? What got me thinking is, why did we hate on them in the first place?
Right.
What got us like, fuck them? Like,
Yep.
cringy, non-talented, whatever you felt is what you felt.
Yeah.
And what I think of is like, let's look at noble figures in that category. Lil Pump, Smoke Perp, Lil Xan,
Yikes.
Lil Dicky.
Rough.
Hey, you like them, you like them. I'm not hating on. I'm just saying.
I don't get it, but okay.
Right. And then it was a lot of that mumble rap. There wasn't a lot of substance behind it. I think that was it too, is that it was no substance, but all substance abuse. Right. Like it was all talking about drugs, lean. Hey, there's plenty of songs that do that, but it was surface level.
Yeah.
It was all very surface level.
Yeah.
And it was all mumble rap. And that was it. There was just not much behind them.
Yeah.
And it was just cringe. They had Lil Pump Lil Pump is the redhead stepchild of rap.
Yeah.
He's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, we're a couple years apart in age, so I also think too, it's funny how like we have, like, obviously the SoundCloud era was both of our kind of prime music growing years. Yeah. Like end of high school, going into college,
was
early 20s,
high school,
and that was bumped. So like when I think, but like I said, when I think of the SoundCloud era, Travis Scott to me is the last big artist before that SoundCloud era, right? He had Owl Pharaoh come out in 2013. He was producing for Kanye and I think in like 2012, 2011, somewhere in there. And so, he has songs like Rah Rah, that's only on SoundCloud. Don't Try Me with Lil Uzi Vert. Don't try me. Tell that motherfucker don't try me. And so he was like, he had kind of this Owl Pharaoh, Days Before Rodeo, all of that starting to come out right into SoundCloud. And then he really used it to like boost and to shortcut, instead of him having to hand out CDs of his mixtapes outside concerts like was always happening when I was going there in high school and going to Chance the Rapper and stuff like that. He just kind of eclipsed that. So I remember like when all Uzi, Yachty, Savage all started coming out. And when I reflect on it, like what I see is the exact same thing you were talking about. Like there wasn't any substance to their lyrics, but what it was for me as I reflect is like, oh, that was in a way resorting back to hip hop over rap dominance.
Right.
And so like what hip hop used to be, which was a lot of beats, it was very DJ heavy, like Kool Herc, all the guys who got the game started. It
was a production flex.
Exactly.
Like, all right, like the production's there, dope beat, dope concept, poorly executed.
Even when you think about like the Fresh Prince, Will Smith, like what he was coming up, he would have been nothing. We don't know obviously, but DJ Jazzy Jeff had a lot of clout going into it, and then he heard Will Smith doing some stuff, and he was like, "Yo, let's start going to shows. Like, you should be my rapper. I'm the DJ. I need a rapper, so why don't you just like fill in for that?"
Oh, I know that.
And so that production that comes into the SoundCloud era, they were like, "Yeah, we're not here to be rappers. We're here to create vibes." And like the vibes that we grew up on are Lil Wayne, Future, Thug, these guys who are drinking lean, making all these good music, and
also like our generation's
that.
Traumatized, so we're trying to escape all of this right now.
Yeah.
And I think what didn't help either though is that you had like you had our OGs, right? We have Kanye, we have Drake, we have J. Cole, who have cemented themselves as really the Mount Rushmore of our generation.
For sure.
None of them really co-signed that generation coming up.
Exactly.
Like, you literally had J. Cole dissing the SoundCloud Rappers on a track. Saying, like, this shit's not going to last. Like, there's nothing to this.
Exactly.
So you also had the OGs not supporting this new wave.
Snoop Dogg making fun of him on an interview.
Right? Like, so you literally have this new generation being misunderstood. And, like, for example, Lil Xan, his one song Slope, like it's a dope beat.
Yeah.
Like I do, like if you hit me with some good bass tracks, I'm gonna at least like the beat.
I'm gonna bob my head along to
right?
it 100%.
Like dope beat, but like if you listen to the lyrics, like this is terrible.
Yeah.
But the beat, like if you could have gotten some beats on like some real flow, some real like lyricism here, it's a top 25 track.
Yep.
That's the thing where you see these, then you talk about selling out or growing up like mature as an artist, right? Because you see these artists that were able to click that, where they could keep that uniqueness, keep that edge, but they were able to infiltrate the mainstream. And you have the people who like Lil Xan, Lil Pump, who were kind of like, this is what I fucking do, and you're gonna like it or not. And guess what? No one fucking liked it.
Nobody liked it.
And then like you have Lil Dicky, who like, I'm not gonna cap, I was like 12 when he started to pop off, and like, okay, like he had some funny songs. He was a meme artist. Yeah. Like he was like Lil Nas X to me when he first came up.
Yeah. And it was entertaining. It was,
but
as we grow up and you go back to it,
I'm not gonna bop his shit.
There's no replay value on it.
Right? Like even like when Freaky Friday came out, I was like, oh, like it's catchy. Like it's a funny concept.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
The concept was cool. Yeah. I loved watching the music video once. Have never played the song since.
Right.
Then.
Love watching Chris Brown dance. There was some clever bars.
Yeah.
funny bars.
What are you gonna do?
It's kind of like when would you even play that? Like
it doesn't fit.
Like it's like that.
There's
like,
no vibe that matches.
No, like you're not gonna play it at the pregame.
No,
you're not gonna play it when you're warming up for a baseball game.
No,
you're not gonna play it with a girl.
Not playing it by yourself at 2 a.m. driving around.
No,
like,
you're not. No,
I don't see any time that comes into play.
If there's no like.
But again, that's
where I woke up and I'm a little dicky. Like what? Like I'm not
cool.
I'm not trying to wake up.
I would
like
literally.
That.
I want a lot of things in life. I'd rather wake up as me than little dicky. So
like no. So I think you had that side of the SoundCloud rappers just doing it a disservice, just being the redheaded stepchild of the new generation.
Right.
And like you had Lil Pump too, who created so much hype and craze because you had DJ Khaled who was fucking on his dick. It was like, oh, like, I want to sign him to this fucking massive deal, and really gave the SoundCloud generation a big ego.
Yeah.
Because there's also like when I think of like Lil Pump, I don't know if you know of this guy, but he was bigger when I was in high school. He was like more of an influencer. He was kind of a rapper, but like Supreme Patty.
Oh yeah, I mean I
like cringe ass people like that.
Yeah, dude.
Like
I
people where it's like,
it,
bro, like this new wave could be so tight if y'all just like Pump, like dude, like you're from Harvard, bro.
Yeah.
You're smart. Like you're a smart dude. Like allegedly, like
so,
you at least know your way around the books. What are you doing? Like,
yeah, I mean that comes to like the selling out part, and I think that's where like should we apologize to SoundCloud era is like. To me, it's the recognition, and again, I have to catch myself doing it in the present time of understanding that the music industry is always going to come in waves. There's always going to be a new sound, a new approach to the same thing that frustrates the older generation, frustrates the generation that's been listening to everybody who's been coming up. There's friction initially, and then over time, the style proves itself with the people who are really pioneering that sound.
But it's like, are you selling out? Are you conforming to the expectation of what the mainstream is?
Yeah.
Or are you truly paving a new path?
Yeah, and that's where the intentionality comes in, and I think that's where we see that 2016 year really coming into who they're going to truly be, and a lot of it's like, all right, we rock with a lot of it. And that 2019, kind of 2020, I would say 2018, 2019 time, that's when Pump, Smoke Perp, all these different cats started to come out. And really the last great SoundCloud rapper was Juice WRLD.
Absolutely.
And he came in.
Who could hop on a beat like no one
and
ever
took the
before.
game over, just loved the game for what the game was. Another guy who's like, he's not trying to connect concepts and complex bars together. He's an incredible freestyler. He makes really fun music. He's able to do a lot of different flows on the same beat.
You know, you and I had this conversation last night about Frank Ocean and Miguel. What's the difference there? Right? Because a lot of people wanted Miguel to become kind of the next Frank Ocean. Right? What separated Frank Ocean was the vulnerability.
Right.
And to me, that's where like you have Juice WRLD, where he would talk about substance abuse, but he was vulnerable about it.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't flexing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you look into his bars, they were, you know, it was so much deeper than that.
He was aching to get out of it and couldn't figure his way.
But he found a way to put it all in a poetic justice behind it. You know?
And so when he I really think when he fell off, Who fell off? When Juice WRLD passed, you know, it's hard for me to still say that because I was so rocked by it. But like when he passed, you really started to see what it was going to become in more Lil Pumps, more Smoke Perps, more people trying to capitalize on the market as opposed to pave their own way.
Yeah.
And that's when Gucci Gang blew up.
Gucci Gang.
Like, listen.
It was hot for
the beat was hard. I totally understand why it
was a one hitter quitter, bro. Like it was like play it once. Don't play this shit.
Don't play it again.
And then the fucking 12-year-olds took it over and was like Gucci Gang. I was like, all right, this is it.
So we hit that peak of the SoundCloud era, and then you have everybody who comes after that who's making the bad name for it, who gave that label to it. But it's that initial friction that we have to like not make sure, but try our best not to repeat the same process. Now moving into the TikTok phase. And the phase where
now
music
we're hitting the TikTok era,
and it's
which is a whole different
fucking thought. When that started coming out, I hit that with friction too. I was like, God, they're just clearly doing it because they can use, you know, that clippy part. They're gonna cut the beat out at some part, say some two-line bar that is catchy that everybody's gonna remember and everybody can yell at the parties. The beat's gonna come back in and it's gonna be a vibe. And I have to catch myself being like, all right, maybe it's not for me, but I have to keep my mind open to it because as SoundCloud starts to wrap up its legacy and its time and being what it was to us when we were growing up.
It's TikTok.
It's TikTok coming in.
That's going to be this generation.
Time to apologize to SoundCloud rappers and open our ears up to TikTok.
I agree.